initiatives announced to empower national enforcement agencies. Boost local production to reduce food import bill. Well, salam Malaysia Madani. You're watching Malaysia Tonight with me, Muhammad Amin Carlos. Well, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim today announced several new initiatives to empower national enforcement agencies, including an allocation of 100 million ringgit to enhance enforcement equipment and capabilities. Other initiatives are improvement in the uniform allowance for those in the management and professional or PNP group, and a study to empower enforcement agencies and improve the career path for enforcement officers and staff. Datuk Seri Anwar, who is Finance Minister, also urged Treasury Secretary General Dato Johan Mahmud to disburse the 100 million ringgit allocation to the enforcement agencies by the end of next week at the latest.
Jadi saya setuju untuk tahun ini, 6 bulan ini, kita peruntukkan 100 juta ringgit untuk semua ini, membantu mereka melengkapkan apa saja keperluan di pejabat atau jabatan mereka. Ini saya dah beritahu KSP supaya dapat disegerakan. Jadi saudara boleh harap supaya peruntukan ini boleh diterima selewat-lewatnya akhir minggu depan. Akhir minggu depan, hari Jumaat depan, esok Jumaat, hari Jumaat depan, peruntukan mesti sampai kepada semua pejabat-jabatan berkenaan. Kalau tidak, sudah lapor kepada saya.
The Premier also announced that the government has agreed to conduct a study to strengthen the enforcement agencies and improve career paths for officers and members of the enforcement scheme. He said this at the Chakna Madani program with enforcement agencies in Putrajaya today. Well, consumer demand along with currency exchange factors have caused the food import bill to rise to 62 billion ringgit a year compared to 48 billion ringgit before. Saying that the country cannot be reliant on food imports in the long term, Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, who also chairs the Cost of Living Implementation and Monitoring Committee, stressed that all ministries and government departments and agencies must focus on the issue of food security and ensure domestic demands are met.
Previously was about 48 billion, not only in terms of exchange rate, but also in terms of the demand of the consumers in Malaysia. We need to import. So otherwise, we'll be facing a lot of problems.
Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid was speaking to reporters after witnessing the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding or MOU between Lembaga Kemajuan Johor Tenggara or Kejora and the Malaysian Agricultural Research and Development Institute MARDI. It was also witnessed by Agriculture and Food Security Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Sabu. Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid also said agencies under the Rural and Regional Development Ministry must work together with Agriculture and Food Security Ministry or KPKM to help the country reduce dependency on food imports. The Deputy Prime Minister further noted that all parties must no longer work in silo and move forward as one entity, adding that this way the rakyat would be able to recognize and appreciate efforts taken. The Economy Ministry is working with the Human Resources Ministry to come up with several policies to be presented to the National Economic Action Council for discussion on the best strategies to enhance the rakyat's wages. Economy Minister Rafizi Ramli said the details and mechanisms of the final policies will be decided based on comprehensive considerations. This includes the capacity and cost implications for the private sector, phase implementation, and a tripartite agreement between the government, employers and workers. In a statement released today, Rafizi also said engagement sessions involving key stakeholders, namely the government, employers and workers, will also be conducted to gather input from all parties involved. Well, according to Rafizi, the compensation of employees, or CE, ratio to gross domestic product, or GDP, in Malaysia for the year 2019 was 35.9%. Now, this is significantly lower than other advanced countries such as Germany, with 59.4%, the United Kingdom, 55.5%, Australia, 46.9%, and South Korea, 46.8%. Rafizi also said while efforts to improve other aspects of the economic structure continue, his ministry will prioritize the fair increase in wages for all parties involved. The Ministry of Human Resources aims to achieve a minimum of 90% score on the Industrial Harmony Index, or SAHIH, in the future. Now, Minister V. Siva Kumar stated that the current score obtained at the national level is 78.9%. The index, he said, which was developed as an instrument to measure the level of industrial harmony to attract foreign investors, was based on 5 criteria. The evaluation criteria include cooperation between employees and employers in terms of mutual support and understanding, dealing with responsibilities and interpersonal interactions.
Secara umumnya kalau kita nak lihat di negara kita, hubungan yang baik di antara majikan dan pekerja ini tidak pernah kita ada sebarang mogok. Dan kebelakangan ini kita tak pernah dengar mana-mana syarikat, mana-mana pekerja, ada di mana-mana industri yang menghadapi masalah seperti itu. Ini secara umumnya membuktikan bahawa terdapat keharmonian di antara pekerja dan majikan di negara kita, dan kita mahu perkara ini terus berlaku supaya kita dapat memastikan seperti mana yang saya sebut awal tadi, produktiviti dan tahap ekonomi negara mencapai tahap yang lebih cemerlang pada masa akan datang.
He said this in a press conference after officiating at the Perak State 2023 Industrial Harmony Symposium, which was participated by 110 companies in Ipoh today. The Ministry of Works aims to achieve a 50% utilization of Building Information Modelling, or BIM, in its construction projects this year. Now, this approach not only helps minimize costs, but also enhances the quality and value of the projects.
Many high-profile projects today use BIM technology in the design through construction stage. They include the Pen Borneo Highways, KL 118 Tower, the Klang Valley Mass Rapid Transit Project, or MRT, and the Tun Razak Exchange.
Well, he hopes that the players in the construction industry of the country will collectively expand the use of Building Information Modelling, or BIM, in every future projects. The Deputy Works Minister said this at the opening ceremony of the KL BIM Day 2023 held at the World Trade Center, Kuala Lumpur today. KL BIM Day is a 2-day event to raise awareness of the BIM usage in the construction industry. Perbadanan Nasional Berhad, PERNAS, should continue to be under the purview of the Entrepreneur Development and Cooperatives Ministry, or KUSKOP, as was decided by the Cabinet early this year. According to its Minister, Dato' Iwan Benedict, this was clearly conveyed during the discussion between KUSKOP and the Domestic Trade of Cost of Living Ministry, KPDN, on the 22nd of December last year, which was also attended by the Prime Minister.
Saya ingin menjelaskan bahawa keputusan meletakkan PERNAS sebagai agensi di bawah KUSKOP telah pun diwartakan, telah pun diputuskan di dalam Kabinet Persekutuan pada awal tahun ini, dan saya percaya keputusan itu harus kekal. Bagaimanapun sekiranya ada hasrat daripada KPDN untuk berbincang lebih lanjut, kita terbuka dan kita akan menyatakan pandangan-pandangan kita.
On 7 July, KPDN Minister Dato Sri Salahuddin Ayub said his ministry is making efforts to put Pernas back under its purview in order to facilitate the coordination of the franchise industry. He said currently acts related to the franchise industry are under KPDN's jurisdiction, but the implementing agency, Pernas, comes under KUSKOP. Elaborating further, Dato Ewan said the two ministries should focus on their respective functions and services in developing the franchise industry. He said this to reporters after the groundbreaking ceremony for the Jardin Central in the nation's capital today. A roadmap that stretches from 2023 to 2025, known as Mampan 25, was launched today as a new strategic plan for the Armed Forces Fund Board, or LTAT, to face economic challenges, safeguard the social welfare of its contributors, and drive the transformation towards a sustainable savings fund. Defence Minister Dato Sri Muhammad Hassan said it is also a restructuring, reassessment and relaunching of its business plan, as there are numerous issues that require re-evaluation and a re-strategizing effort from the entire LTAT family, including subsidiary companies.
Kita berada dalam keadaan dunia yang berubah begitu drastik, begitu cepat. Makanya di dalam dunia korporat, dunia perniagaan, kita tidak boleh statik. Sama-sama pastikan bahawa LTAT dan anak-anak syarikatnya, bos state yang lain-lain terus teguh dan terus mantap operasinya. Dan dalam masa yang sama, komitmen kita untuk memberikan pulangan yang mantap, yang baik kepada anggota tentera yang mencarum wang pesaran mereka.
The minister added that the ministry has been monitoring LTAT and its subsidiaries to ensure that they continue to ensure the well-being of military personnel as outlined in the core values of the Defence Ministry, or MINDEF. Well, MIDF research foresees the ringgit to benefit slightly from the easing inflation rate in the United States and expects the local note to appreciate gradually in the second half of 2023, or also known as 2H 2023, as chances of a rate pause rise. Now, hence, the research house is maintaining its year-end forecast for the ringgit to touch 4 ringgit and 20 cents per US dollar. Well, the US consumer inflation decelerated to 3% year-on-year in June 2023 to the lowest level since March 2021 and marginally lower than the 3.1% expected. It noted, however, that given the still elevated core inflation, another 25 basis points or BPs in July 2023 seems imminent before the Fed considers a pause. Now, at the opening today, the ringgit climbed 310 percentage in points or pips against the greenback compared with Wednesday's close, mainly due to the lower than expected U.S. Consumer Price Index or CPI data in June 2023. On India's industrial production data for May 2023, it said India's positive developments in industrial activities may benefit Malaysia's exports, especially palm oil products. Moreover, the research firm said India booked 18.8% of Malaysia's palm oil outbound shipment in May this year. Coming up next, over 1,000 candidates achieved perfect CGPA at STPM 2022. Well, a total of 1,184 Sijil Tinggi Persekolahan Malaysia, or STPM 2022 examination candidates obtained the perfect score of cumulative grade point average, or CGPA, of 4.0. Well, Malaysian Examinations Council, or MPM Chairman Professor Dr. Muhammad Ekwan Toriman said the number of candidates who obtained a CGPA result of 4.0 increased compared to 2021, which was a total of 874 candidates. He said of these 1,184 candidates, 1,009 or 85.22% of them are from the B40, which is the lower income bracket category.
Dari segi pencapaian PNJK calon, secara keseluruhannya didapati peratusan longgokkan calon STPM 2022 pada PNJK 3.75 dan ke atas ialah 9.59%. PNJK 3.0 dan ke atas ialah 42.96%, PNGK 2.75 dan ke atas ialah 56.97% dan PNGK 2.0 dan ke atas ialah 89.75%, meningkat berbanding tahun 2021.
He said this at a press conference to announce the STPM 2022 results today. As for the STPM 2022 National CGPA, Dato' Muhammad Ekwan said it also increased to 2.82 last year compared to 2.79 for STPM 2021. This national CGPA, he added, is the highest national CGPA since the STPM exam was implemented. The Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, MCMC, and the Royal Malaysia Police, PDRM, will assess the necessity to establish a special unit to look into cases relating to 3R, which stands for race, religion, and royalty issues that are often played up during election campaigning periods. Communications and Digital Minister Fahmi Fadzil said this follows the data that has been presented by the Centre of Independent Journalism, or CIJ, on the 15th general election, the GE15, and that the huge number of 3R issues that were played up in a short period of time then was extremely worrying.
I do believe MCMC and PDRM will have to assess the necessity to perhaps set up a special unit, given that when we looked at some of the figures presented by Centre for Independent Journalism on GE15, the speed of and the huge number of 3R content that was put up in that short period of time is extremely worrying. So the kind of desperado politics that employ 3R during the campaign cannot be allowed to persist.
Fahmi has also expressed his disappointment following the actions of some politicians who are using 3R material in their campaign, despite the decree by the Malay rulers and reminder by Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim and Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Razaruddin Hussein that political campaigns should refrain talking about 3R matters. He said this to reporters after launching the Global Conference on Communication, Culture and Contemporary Media, or GLOCOM 2023, in Kuala Lumpur today. The Terengganu Police Contingent Headquarters, or IPK, needs an additional 2,029 personnel to face the state elections on 12 August. Deputy Inspector General of Police, Dato' Sri Ayub Khan Maidin Piche, said that an application has been submitted by the state IPK to meet the needs of the 4,468 personnel who will be deployed before, during and after the elections. In the meantime, Dato' Sri Ayub Khan said that thus far, a total of 59 hotspots have been identified in Terengganu, with Marang and Kemaman districts recording the highest risk of tension. He said that he had instructed Terengganu Police Chief, Dato' Mazli Mazlan, to call all personnel involved in security control throughout the polls to ensure that such issues do not arise at all, to guarantee the smoothness of the democratic process.
InsyaAllah, kita yakin bahawa kontingen Terengganu telah pun membuat persiapan rapi bagi menghadapi PLN yang akan datang. Dan saya pun telah memberi arahan kepada KP untuk memanggil semua yang akan terlibat dalam pilihan untuk memastikan tidak ada isu-isu kecil yang timbulkan sebelum, semasa dan selepas pilihan raya. Memastikan kita dapat memastikan keadaan ketenteraman keselamatan awam terkawal.
Well, the Georgetown Magistrates Court today allowed a 5-day remand order against 4 policemen to facilitate investigations into suspected graft. The order was issued by Magistrate Nur Melati Diana Abdul Wahab. Well, separately, she also allowed a 4-day remand order against a police sergeant for the same reason. The 5 were detained by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, or MACC, yesterday. Well, sources said the 4 policemen, a 31-year-old corporal and 3 lance corporals, aged between 26 and 33, attached to the Sungai Bakar police station, were suspected of soliciting and receiving a 1,000 ringgit bribe from a man. Now, the source added that the 4 policemen were detained when they were present to receive the money. Meanwhile, the police sergeant, aged 30, was remanded for soliciting a 2,500 ringgit bribe. And both cases are probed under Section 17, subsection A of the MACC Act 2009.
Ada kalanya dalam mendidik anak-anak, ibu bapa secara tidak sengaja berkelakuan pilih kasih dalam memberi kasih sayang atau perhatian. Zahirkan kasih sayang terhadap anak-anak. Jika perlu ditegur, tegurlah dengan kasih sayang.
Still ahead, Thailand's Pita defeated in parliament in bid for Prime Minister. Well, Thailand's Pita Limjaroenrat failed on Thursday in his initial bid to become Thailand's next Prime Minister after he was thwarted in a high-stakes parliamentary vote that included a host of no-shows and nearly 200 abstentions. The leader of election winners, Move Forward, was unopposed in the contest but struggled to muster the required support of more than half of 749 members of the bicameral Parliament, despite the backing of his 8-party alliance. Now, another vote is expected to be held next week, which Pita can contest if nominated again. Now, the Progressive Move Forward Party and its alliance partner Pheu Thai thrashed conservative pro-military parties in the 14th May election, seen widely as a resounding rejection of nearly a decade of government-led or backed by the royalist military. Thursday's vote was a critical test of Pita's political clout and an indicator of the opposition to his party anti-establishment agenda, which includes removing the military from politics, curbing business monopolies, and amending a law that prescribes long jail terms for insulting the monarchy. Frontrunner Pita is a sole candidate but faces a tough battle, with his 8-party coalition short of the absolute majority in both houses required to propel him to the premiership. Well, days of relentless monsoon rains have killed at least 66 people in India. Government officials said Wednesday, with dozens of foreign tourists stranded in the Himalayas after floods severed road connections. Now, flooding and landslides are common and cause widespread devastation during India's treacherous monsoon season. But experts said climate change is increasing their frequency and severity. Well, torrential downpours have washed away vehicles, demolished buildings and torn down bridges in Himachal Pradesh, the worst affected state. At least 33 people have lost their lives in the state, popular for its picturesque Himalayan hill stations, since Saturday, and according to Onkar Sharma, head of the state disaster agency. Well, rescue teams were mobilized to assist 40 foreign travelers, including 14 Russians and 12 Malaysians stranded at tourist destinations alongside several hundred Indian nationals. Incessant rain had caused significant damage across Punjab state, with at least 10 killed in flash floods. At least 11 people were killed in Uttar Pradesh, India's most populous state, according to state officials. Well, the capital, New Delhi, has also been put on high alert for flooding after the Yamuna River recorded its highest level since 1978.
Pernah tak anda sebagai ibu bapa memikirkan perasaan anak-anak? Mereka juga mangsa ketagihan dada. Hentikan, bantu mereka sebelum terlambat. Dapatkan rawatan secara sukarela di pusat pemulihan kerajaan ataupun swasta.
Coming up in sports, Pandalela Davita to lead nation's charge at World Championships. Stay with us. With an eye on securing Olympic qualification, the Malaysian diving and swimming team is adamant to bag a medal at the World Aquatics Championships in Fukuoka, Japan, happening from 14 to 30th July. And the national diving squad will be led by 2-time Olympic medalists Pandalela Rinong, Nurdabita Sabri, Wendy Ng, Shafiq Puteh and Ui Ziliang. Two-time Olympic medalist Pandalela will be focusing on the women's 10-meter platform individual, while Dabita will be competing in the 3-meter springboard individual event. The duo, however, will join forces for the women's 10-meter platform synchronized. Malaysia Swimming Federation, MS Secretary General Andy Lau said the diving squad underwent training in China prior to the championships. They were also preparing for the Hangzhou Asian Games in Hubei. No Malaysian swimmer or diver has qualified for the Paris Olympics yet. Malaysia won 2 bronze at last year's World Championships in Budapest, Hungary via Pandalela in the 10-meter platform individual, as well as Pandalela Dabita in the 10-meter platform synchronized.
In tennis, Carlos Alcaraz saw off Holger Rune in straight sets on Wednesday to stay on course for a Wimbledon title showdown against defending champion Novak Djokovic. Now, the top seed won the key moments during the quarterfinal on center court to progress 7-6, 6-4, 6-4, and will play Russian third seed Daniil Medvedev in the semifinals.
The Spaniard faced just 1 break point in the entire match, which he snuffed out, hitting 35 winners against 13 unforced errors. Despite his youth, Alcaraz is already at home among the elite of men's tennis and produced the form that has carried him to the top of the rankings by never allowing Rune to gain the upper hand, no matter how many flashy shots the Dane conjured. After saving a break point in the opening game of the match, Alcaraz put on a majestic performance to end Rune's hopes of becoming the first Danish player in 65 years to reach the All-England Club semi-finals. Alcaraz is the youngest semi-finalist at Wimbledon since Djokovic in 2007. The Serbian faces Italian 8th seed Jannik Sinner in Friday's other semi-final. Alcaraz is aiming to become the 3rd youngest player to win the Wimbledon men's singles crown in the Open era. In the other semi-final, 3rd seed Daniil Medvedev curtailed American debutant Christopher Eubanks' extraordinary Wimbledon adventure as he weathered a ferocious storm to come through that quarterfinal 6-4, 1-6, 4-6, 7-6, 6-1. The 27-year-old Russian took the opening set but was blown completely off course for the next 2 as unseeded Eubanks unleashed a barrage of first-strike tennis that had the court 1 crowd roaring its approval. Medvedev clung on stubbornly, however, and as the fire in the Eubanks racket began to fade, he took charge to reach the semifinals at the grass court slam for the first time. Medvedev will face top seed Carlos Alcaraz for a place in Sunday's final.
Saksikan Majlis Pelancaran Bulan Kebangsaan dan Kibar Jalur Gemilang 2023 secara langsung dari Bulatan Sultan Azlan Shah Meru Raya, Ipoh Perak pada 16 Julai 9.45 pagi hanya di TV1, saluran Berita RTM, RTM Klik dan FB Berita RTM. Malaysia Madani, tekad perpaduan, penuhi harapan.
Well, that's it from us this evening. In our top story, new initiatives announced to empower national enforcement agencies. Join us for update at noon at 12:30 tomorrow on TV2 and MyTV's Berita RTM channel. I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos, Malaysia Madani, tekad perpaduan, penuhi harapan. Thanks for watching.